country that has such a broad spectrum as Germany does, from the Linke all the way to the Bavarian CSU, then to have 80, I don't know which party you're laughing about. To have 80% of that electorate for one candidate in the United States is odd, and to me reflects a failure to really engage with the issues. That's the first observation. But the second is also quite interesting. You shouldn't imagine that Europe looks like Germany. And all you have to do is go across the border into Switzerland to figure that out. So I was sitting at a dinner party recently where some people said the problem with the U.S. is there's too damn many Democrats. And I thought that's really interesting. I would never hear that in Germany, would I? Or very rarely would I hear that. And in fact, there's much more sympathy for the Republican Party in the positions and the basic philosophy of the Republican Party in Switzerland than there is anywhere in Germany, except for perhaps a few small pockets. And the reason is clear. Switzerland is a country that has a very similar political culture. It's a country that's driven by a small government philosophy. There is no capital city of Switzerland. They happen to have most of their federal offices in the city of Bern, but it is not the capital of Switzerland. It's a country that's highly federal. It's a country where the cantons reserve for themselves an enormous number of prerogatives. And that's the way many Americans think about government. They want states to have as many competencies as they possibly can and only give to Washington what you absolutely have to. And that's the philosophy that the Republican Party and Mitt Romney have been supporting. And so I think it's not a surprise that you would have in a country like Switzerland somewhat more resonance for these themes and topics than you do in a country like Germany, where there's traditionally been much more belief in the ability of the federal government to solve problems, and much less hope or expectation that communities or the lender would take over.
Well, I mean, I don't know whether people really did reflect the way James basically portrayed the Swiss debate. I think if we look at the foreign policy record of Obama, for instance, and people here in Germany love him, for what? He escalated the growing war in Pakistan. He killed Osama bin Laden, and apparently there was never the alternative of capturing or killing. It was right away, go get him and kill him. If George Bush would have done the same thing, 80% of the Germans would have been obsessed with it. Would have been turned against the US as the evil empire and the imperial, hegemonic, whatever you want to call it, empire who wants to rule the world. I think it's because, I mean, Germans love Barack Obama because they still have George W. Bush in mind. I think that people here really follow American domestic politics or American foreign policy. Because especially if you look at the foreign policy, I think even Bush, if I remember correctly, gave credit to Obama recently for pursuing basically a foreign policy he would have pursued also if he would still be the president. So I think this is the feeling, I mean, if 80% of Germans would like to see Barack Obama staying in power, it is because they still have the difficult times in mind we had with George W. Bush.
Okay.
And my students don't care really who will be president of the United States because they expect more continuity in foreign policy than change.
Okay.
So if they look, whoever will be the president of the United States, in terms of foreign policy, will stay the course Obama basically, did develop over the last 4 years and will continue. There will be minor changes, definitely, but I think the general lines will be the same. Therefore, my students really don't care whether they fight alongside American soldiers who have Mitt Romney as commander-in-chief or whatever.
And they do not really like the popular culture that is connected to the American presidency and all that, because they are students at the University
No, I mean,
the Bundeswehr.
basically what you are insinuating is that my students, because of they are soldiers, are more conservative. And that's not true. I mean, we have all the spectrum, with the exception probably of the Linke in the German armed forces. I mean, we have as many social democrats as even green soldiers. Not only they wear a green uniform, but by heart they are green. As we do have conservatives. So it's all across the spectrum. It's not a more conservative, entity than other entities here in the German population.
No, I was more thinking about the spectacle actually, and all the theatrical aspects that are connected to the electoral process. Watching TV debates